Who are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? We continue that question today in this week of misfitness. Today, the lesson is I was a mile deep in a cave and my flashlight went out. Good day, my friends. Good day. It's a glorious day. I'm eager to talk to you. I've been tossing and turning this evening, and I got up extra early to put this message together today. I've got a big day. I hope you have a big day. I hope you've got big things going on in your life. I know you probably have some difficulties. I know you probably have some things that are challenging you in your life. I am not anything different than you. I have ups, I have downs, I have challenges. I put myself in challenges, I think, probably far too often if you ask my wife or people around me. But I do know that it stretches me. I do know that it does put burdens on other people. I do know that these are the things that kind of move the needle for me. So I just want to give you a shout out. I just want to let you know, man, I know you got a day coming. I know a lot of you start your day with me. And man, I want you to know it's a privilege. I get lots of comments. I do have lots of followers. I'm grateful for it. I mean, I know there's a lot of there's millions of people you can be listening to on the internet. But some of you choose to listen to me on a regular basis, and so I want you to know I don't take it lightly. I don't take it lightly at all. My day is very early. This morning was extra early, like 2:30. I couldn't sleep. But normally it's 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm up and I'm creating content, and we're live and up and running by 9. And you got a show Monday through Thursday, and it's a privilege for me to do it. It helps me, helps all of us. And I do want you to know that I do pray to God for wisdom. I pray to God that the messages I give make sense and they're moving you forward in some capacity. And this week we're on this whole idea of being misfits. This whole wired differently mindset movement, mission, and ministry. My name is Todd Saylor, and I'm the author of the books, The Brand, and the Attitudinal Disorder, Wired Differently. Right? And in 2018, I wrote my first book, and the book was titled Wired Differently. And the second book I wrote was titled Drift Again, Wired Differently. And my third book I wrote in this realm was Your Will Be Done, Wired Differently. And so really from jump, Wired Differently is always meant we're different. I mean, a lot of us say, well, I know you, Todd. You've always been different. You know, I know what I mean, I never really embraced it as a younger man, but as I've gotten older, I've realized that being different has been an advantage to me. The way I think, the way I do, the way I process, my grit, my forwardness, my tenacity, my stretch, those types of things. And I would encourage you all in the business world to understand that is your market dominating position, this place that you're able to go that maybe some other people won't go because they don't want the risk, they don't want the challenge, they don't want the turmoil, they don't want this idea of failing. It's brutal. But this week on Wired Differently, this week on Misfitness is this idea that I want you to understand that since you are different, since you are wired differently, since you are truly different, that means I'm sharing with you the reason that Todd is different isn't that he's, out there sometimes. It's that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And there's just no way of getting around it. And so when I say you're wired differently, I'm wired differently, I'm sharing with you the fact that the gospel has struck in me. I have been taken by the gospel. God has spoke to me. I have asked Christ into my heart. I have I've wanted to be that person, and I have been that person a long time. But the world handles us in a different way, no matter who we are, how we are. And even though we do put God first in our lives, we still have challenges. We still live of this world. Which brings me to the point of being misfits, because we no longer believe like the world and we have Christ in us. We are rewired. We're wired differently to put Christ first, to not understand, not live in this world the way the world lives without Christ in their heart. Our set of rules, our set of nomenclature, our belief structures as Christians living by the Bible puts us in a position that we're just wired differently. Right? And so yesterday we talked about my kingdom is not of this world. Jesus said that to the Pharisees. He said that to the Romans. And, I am no threat to your kingdom on this world, because my kingdom is not of this world. And today, the verse I had picked out to take us to this misfitness, to dive a little deeper into misfitness, is John 8:23. We're still in the book of John. And the verse is, ye are from beneath, I am from above. Ye are of this world, I am not of this world. I told you that you would die in your sins, for unless you believe that I am he, you will definitely die in your sins. And so this is Jesus Christ himself in John, in multiple occasions in John, in this setting I read off yesterday, defining the fact that he's clearly not of this world. When you're not of this world, then you don't fit. You are a misfit. And so there's where we get our misfitness, and why sometimes we feel different, why sometimes things are maybe seemingly a little difficult for us on this world. I was in Tennessee for 4 days with my wife, and I had 2 business meetings, and they were great business meetings. And I thought, well, I'll just hang out in Tennessee, and we'll do some things and try to take a little bit of time off, which we did. I'm grateful for all the help I have and the ability to get away, and that was a success. But in my life, those things, I just don't feel good unless I'm in touch with everything, and I know I have to work on that. So I wasn't completely away, and I was looking at cameras and doing email and texting and this or that. And, you want to get away, but you just, you know what I'm talking about? You only feel good if you are in touch and things are going well with those that you are in touch with. So I can't relax unless I get a text message. Everything's going well here. Everything's going well here. And, I want to go out to dinner and take a full day off. And you get a text and you check in. And, I know we got to separate ourselves, but sometimes it's just better to be in a position to know things are well so you can be well for the moment. And so I was in one of those moments. I was like, babe, let's really get disconnected today. Let's go to the Dunbar Caves in just Clarksville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And so we had a Thursday there, a Friday there, and Saturday was our day to really disconnect. And the only way to really disconnect is to go in a cave. I mean, didn't you know that? Because if you go in a cave, you can't get cell phones. There's no light. There's no electric. I mean, if you really go caving, does anybody go caving out there? I mean, my wife and I have probably done, I don't know, short of 20, but at least close to 20 caves in our lifetime. It's kind of our little thing. But this cave in Dunbar was exceptional. I'm not going to tell you it was the most beautiful cave I've ever been in. I've been into a lot of commercial caves, and we've been into some caves that aren't so commercial, but they're still commercial. They're all commercial because if you got to pay to get in them, then they're made to be, clearly safe. But this case, it was a little different. This cave was called a natural cave. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but what it basically meant is there's no electricity, there's no lights. It was deep, wrought with history. And the reason I'm telling these stories is because I want you to relate with me. I want you to understand kind of where we are and how we are as human beings, being wired differently, misfits, and this idea of me disconnecting and going to a cave to disconnect. But the story is relevant because as I'm trying to disconnect, and I'm with my wife, we're enjoying some times. I got a few pictures. Let me show you a few pictures here. So this is us. We couldn't take pictures in the cave. So this is a picture of Tracy and I getting ready to go caving. Actually, this is after the cave because it was cold in the cave. This is actually before I went in the cave. I thought you might like that. I might feel like that. This is us after the cave in the cave area, Dunbar. Another it's Tracy, and this is another beautiful rivers, and the wilderness is just amazing. This is Tracy and I coming out of the cave and going for a hike and understanding, what God's glory is, and us really kind of disconnecting and doing our thing after the cave experience, which I'm going to share with you. And then here's me just like being me. So we get ready to go to the cave. I'm disconnected because obviously the phone won't work. You can't use your phone. You can't use the flashlight on your phone. You can't, for some reason, they got all these rules. And we had a great cave tour guide. She was phenomenal, and she was a storyteller, and I love storytelling, obviously. And so she was amazing, but we had to buy flashlights. And so we went in there, and there's about 20 of us, maybe 15, 20 of us. And the cave lady's all excited and everything. We buy our little flashlights. And so I have a flashlight. Tracy has a flashlight, and no one really shows up to the cave experience first. So we're in the front of the line, right? And so as we take off for this cave, it's a little over a mile trek to a natural cave, meaning no lights. The floor is wet. The walls are wet. They got some padding down in some of the areas because you don't want to take the clay home with you in your shoes. It's just kind of this or that. And I'm going to make this story kind of short because I just want you to understand, as I'm walking through the cave, I start to think about, like, what if? Like, there's no electricity down here. I am going an hour and 20 minutes into a cave over a mile deep, with no electricity, no cell phones, no for sure light. I mean, they tell you the story of the dude who didn't pay attention and he cracked his leg open or something like that, walked into a stalagmite tower, whatever. I'm not making fun of the caves. I'm just saying, like, for some reason, after all the caves I've been in, this cave, after we walk into the cave, it gets very cold, refreshing to the point, but you realize you're going into another world. And the tour guide makes it clear that we're going beneath the world. We're going under the world. And she continues to tell a story about the Indians who lived there and thousands of years ago, and the warriors and bear man and these half people, half animals live there, and hieroglyphics are on the wall. And it's like, man, I'm like not normally freaked out, but this lady is into the story. She is into the spirits. She's into the world being flat. She's into, like, the outer world, the inner world, and the beneath the world, and how the Indians didn't believe in one world. And it's too complicated for me to even understand, but to try to live through this lady. But she clearly was not in the book of John. She was in the book of spirits. Literally telling me that before the Indians could even go into this cave, they had to do a ritual and do some type of sacrifice. But we can go in the caves because she got permission from the Indians, and we got to pass so the spirits won't bother us. And it's like, I don't know, but baby, I think we're going underneath the ground, and we're going beneath, right? We're going beneath. Let's go. So we trek off, and as we go down this terrain, we go around corners, and she's talking and stopping and talking. We got our flashlights, and we can see about 5 feet in front of us. I don't know what it is. And then we get deeper, and we get deeper, and the tunnels get smaller, and they get smaller. And she starts to tell us it's going to get a little tight. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's getting a little tight. I mean, I like going in the caves and, but I'm not ready to spelunk. I don't have ropes and oxygen and all. I'm like, I'm starting to think like I know that it's a tourist cave. I know it's a tourist thing, but I'm just starting to think of things that don't even make sense because I'm beneath the earth. She's got me all spooked up with Indian spirits and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm like, my God, he would not put me in this position, but what have I put myself into? I don't know if an Indian's going to pop around the corner. I literally, I don't know what's going on. But as the deeper we get, my wife, she's the very front. I'm right behind her. She walks fast. She's hanging up with this little guy who's about 5'2", and my wife's a beautiful 5'4", and I'm almost 6'2", depending on the shoe I'm wearing. And as I'm going through here, I'm telling you, man, the ceiling's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And she said, that's going to get a little tight back here. If you got claustrophobia, I'm like, I don't, but I'm feeling it right now. These little people keep marching. And all of a sudden, the ceiling is down to about 3 feet or something. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm in a cave with no electricity, no phones, no cell phones, no connection, mile deep. I am beneath the earth with no way out. And the unthinkable happened. My flashlight died. Now, I know you're saying, well, what's that? Well, the big deal is I was already in this position of thinking of the worst. My attitude was like, what if? And then my flashlight goes out. Then the walls shrink. Now I can't move to my right or my left because the walls are narrow. And now which was about a 5-foot cavern to walk under is, below 5 feet. And and I don't got a good back. I got to bend over. I'm damn near crawling, but I'm scrunching under. My flashlight's out. There's people behind me. This lady who's taking us on this tour, nice lady, don't get me wrong, the spirit driven lady is flying ahead of me, no light, can't see anything. My wife's driving ahead of me, and I'm thinking I can't breathe. I'm thinking I'm feeling constricted. I'm like, I'm a mile deep beneath the earth. My flashlight isn't working, the walls are caving in on me, and my mind starts to go a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know if the word's scared. I was scared. I'm a tough guy, man. But I didn't like it. And I said to the tour guide about, 10 yards ahead of me, I said, excuse me, ma'am, are we about the end of this tunnel? Oh, yeah. Just a few hundred more yards. My body my chest got tight. I could have had a heart attack. I might have, I don't even know. I might have had a stroke and didn't know it. But I'm like, okay, I don't want to hold up the crowd behind me. I got to catch up with my wife. I don't want to be the weakest link. And I'm just telling you for reals right now, I was a mile beneath the earth. I was short of breath and my flashlight wasn't working. Well, the story ends good. We get to the end of the tunnel. The ceiling's open back up for a little bit, and she thinks she has to be smart and tells everyone to turn their flashlights off so we can experience darkness in the most darkest place possible, which every cave does it, but you've got some light, but this place had no light. One dude's watch started to go off and she about beat him. She's like, don't turn here, come on. We want complete darkness. The spirits want it. I'm like, holy cow. So literally, we're dark. And then she goes on and she tells a story in the darkness. And the story must have went on 8 minutes. I'm like, that story's too long. It's too dark for so long. And she says, if you're in the dark for over an hour, you'll start to hallucinate and lose your mind. I don't know, man. This cave trip was just so glad to get out from beneath the earth. She was a good tour guide. We got in, we got out, and the spirits didn't chew us up. And I'm just glad that I had the experience. I'm glad. But has any of you ever not been in a cave, but felt like you've been beneath the earth, or the walls are collapsing in on you, or you're feeling like the world's too much for you, or you can't handle the things that have been put before you? And I think this misfitness today is like, I want to just kind of share with you how to get real in those situations. I want to just kind of get real with you and share with you what God is sharing with us. And the reason I share, I really wanted to share the cave story with you because I thought it was very relevant. Because in the book of John, John tells a story about Jesus and how Jesus is on the second I am. And he says, I am the light of this world. And the Pharisees go crazy. They don't like the fact that Jesus makes this statement, the second of the seven I ams. And he says, I am the light of this world. Even when I was in that cave and it was perfectly black and I could literally go hallucinative, Jesus really still was the light of the world. But the piece I want to take to you, though, is that when Jesus goes ahead and he shares he's the light of the world, and the Pharisees start to fight with him about all this, and they don't like him, and they start to stone him, and they literally start to, drag him and put him in places, and they want to rubble him up. He says, ye from beneath the world. Ye from beneath, ye from down under, ye from hell. That's what he says. Ye from in a cave with no light at all. That's where they were coming from. My tour guide gave me no sense of wisdom about Jesus Christ or Christianity when we were beneath that cave. It was all about spirits and darkness. Right? Interestingly enough, when we got out of the cave, I had a little moment alone with her. I gave her a tip and I said, I was just curious, where are you at in church in your faith? She says, well, I just have one comment. I think there's just too many things in this world that are unexplained. Beneath. I was beneath. I was in hell. I was beneath. I was without light, right? Jesus said, I am the light of the world, the second I am. And he's doing battle with the Jewish Pharisees, and they're tugging on him, and he just keeps doubling down, keeps doubling down. He knows what's coming, but he's not going to give in. He is going to keep doubling down. I am the light of this world. I am the light of this world. You Pharisees are from beneath. You're beneath the caves. You're in the darkness, right? I am the light of the world, but you are beneath. You are in the caves. You are constricted. It is dark there. I am from above. Ye are of this world. I am not of this world. I told you that you would die in your sins, for unless you believe that I am in you, unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. And so Jesus continues to double down in his strength and his idea of being the light of the world, not from being beneath the world, not being in the cave, not being in this constricted form. So I just want to kind of give you this idea of being a misfit. Us being in misfits means that we are in light no matter when. We don't want to go into caves. We do not want to have our flashlights go out. We don't want to be around those types of people that are going to drag us down and deal in spirits with us. Right? We don't want to be in the darkness. We don't want to be constricted in a cave. We don't want to be drugged through the spirits and the permission to go into places and have people talking about those things. We are not of this world anymore. We are misfits like Jesus Christ. Yesterday, we talked about John 18:36. My kingdom is not of this world. Today, we're sharing John 8:23. Ye are from beneath, and I am from above. Jesus said, ye are of this world, and I am not of this world. I told you that you would die in your sins, for unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. So I just kind of want to say, okay, how do we get out of this darkness? How do we find our way when we're caved in and we're feeling like the world's coming against us as Christians and being misfits? We know that we're in a place we shouldn't have been. I should not have been in that place. I should not have been around those spirits. I should not have had a flashlight that would go out on me. I should not have. I should be with in places where God is reigning and not being poured on by spirits around me. I understand that. So I want you to get real in this regard. And I want to kind of wrap this show up with you. And I want to talk to you, how do you get real as being a misfit? How do you work yourself out of the dark? How do you work yourself up out of being depressed? How do you work yourself out of being in these positions where you just can't breathe and you feel constricted and you just don't know where you're going to turn? I want you to get real. Here's the 4 points I want to share with you of being a misfit and getting real, getting into the light, understanding how to manage your life here on this earth as a misfit. Number 1, get real. I want you to understand that all of your realness, all of your lightness, all of this world that we are here passing through as misfits, our success here as Christians, as misfits, will work through relationships. I just rekindled some relationships from high school, Ron and Carla Elliott. Relationships, the strong believers that I would have never guessed that we would be in this position in our life, doing life together in a Christian way, right? Relationships, my wife, relationships, the workers around me, relationships, right? You need to be in this position where you're leveraging your position of relationships in a good way, that the people around you that are in the light, they're not beneath the earth. They're not in the caves with the spirits and no damn flashlights, right? I want you to understand your relationships. R is for relationship. I want you to get real, and the R stands for relationships. I want you right now to write down, who are you hanging around with? Who lifts you up? Who finishes your sentences? Who gathers around you when you need it? Who is there to grab you or give you a flashlight? Who is there to pull you through the cave? Who is there to pull you to the light, right? These relationships are so important. Relationship. E, I want you to understand, I need you to understand, who are you equipping in the Christian faith? Who are you equipping in your workspace with Christian mindset? Who are you developing in your life around you in these relationships to carry on your thoughts, their thoughts? Who are you making stronger? Who are you building? Who are you equipping? Who are you pouring into? Right? A, attitude. How are you responding when the flashlight goes out? How are you responding when the walls are caving in? How are you responding when the ceilings are too low and you're having to crawl, right? How are you responding when there's just no damn light? Attitude's one of those things that it's so easy when it's easy. It's so easy when you have the money. It's so easy when you have the fame and the likes and the follows and the path and everything's working for you, right? It's so easy, but attitude is really, really most prominent when you're in the cave and your flashlight goes out and the walls are shrinking a mile beneath the earth. That's where your faithful attitude really, really needs to kick in. And now, leadership. Who are you leading? Let's start with, are you leading yourself? Are you leading a small group? Are you leading a business circle? Are you leading others to the Lord? Are you demonstrating good practices? Are you leading by repenting? Are you leading by asking for wisdom? Are you leading from the fact that you just need to actually even understand where you're supposed to be so you can lead others to where they're supposed to be? My friends, leadership is the most quintessential thing in this world. If your relationships are moving and you're equipping other people and your attitude is right, then you must continue the process by leading yourself and leading others. John Maxwell is a brilliant man. In close, I want to just tell you one thing. I remember going to a message, and I was sitting in the front row, and he did a brilliant job. An amazing, amazing man. And he looked over the audience, and he said, listen, I want to close this message, and I want to just tell you that leadership is quintessential. And I want to make a statement that everything in this world rises and falls on leadership. And everybody was quiet. And he looked around the room. He's a big man. He's a large man. He's sitting down, and he says, everything, I mean, everything in this world rises and falls on leadership. And it was still quiet. And one man in the way back of the room raised his hand up, and he said, listen, John, I have a question. John says, sure. What's the question? He says, what do you mean by everything? And John looked right at him, and he looked around the room, and he stood up. Large man. To make a point, put his bottle of water down, and he looked right at that guy, and I'm like, oh my goodness. He said, sir, I said, everything in this world rises and falls with leadership. Everything. So when you think about yourself being in a cave, you think about yourself with your flashlight going out, you think about yourself being in the underworld. I don't want you there. I want you to understand that I want you to get real. I want you to understand that the only way for us to move through this world that we live on, that we are misfits on, is that we organize ourselves in a clear process of getting real while we're here on our way to the kingdom. Jesus said in John 18:36, my kingdom is not of this world. And he said to the people that were of this world, that ye are from beneath, and I am from above. I want you to get real. I want you to work on your relationships. I want you to work on equipping others. I want you to work on your attitude when things are tough. And I want you to work on your leadership. So let's get real, my friends. We're misfits, and we're proud of it. We're misfits, and we're proud of it. I want to thank Chad at Mobile Social Media 365. He's a good friend. He's a good business partner. I want to thank Chris Billups and Brand Dominators. These two men have produced websites and social media for me for many, many years, and we've continued to grow this brand. And right now, I just want to draw your attention to wiredifferently.com. Go to the website, wiredifferently.com. Support this mindset ministry, mission, and movement by simply buying a shirt, a t-shirt, a hoodie. It's got God's name on it in some fashion or form. It doesn't say Adidas. It doesn't say Nike. It doesn't say anything, but I believe in God and I'm on his team. Why not support God in what we wear? I mean, why not be in that situation where we're marketing for God on the reg, right? I appreciate all you guys and all your support. And I just want you to know that I do care. I do love you. I think about you all the time. I think about these messages constantly. We have a revival coming up September 1st on Sunday, Labor Day weekend here in Angola, Indiana, at the Four Corners Sedona Capital World. If any of you are listening and you want to find your way here and you need a little gas money or you need a little help to get here to this revival, just DM me or kind of say something in the comments below, and we'll find a way to get you here. This revival is going to be a beautiful thing. God is going to show up as he promises, right? And he's going to deliver. They're going to have baptisms. And if you want to be baptized there, I'll be able to be around that. I'll be with you. I can even baptize you. I can be a part of your life in that regard. Pastor John Bruni will be there doing baptisms. He's going to have an amazing show for us after I speak briefly. It's going to be a great, great God moment. So God bless you guys. Have a great day. And I look forward